Remember this series? It's What Happened on My Universe Mode! Week 17. Ooh. And we start as always with Raw, which took place in Houston, Texas. And Jack Swagger took on the newly heel Kane, who's aligned himself with Bray Wyatt. And it didn't take Kane long to have his way with Jack Swagger, finishing it with a chokeslam after only about 4 or 5 moves. At SummerSlam, Roman Reigns was injured when he took on Randy Orton, so NXT's Adrian Neville got called up to the main roster to replace him, and he took on Curtis Axel in his Raw debut. It was quite the spectacle. Proof of this spectacle came when Adrian Neville headed to the top rope and hit a Dragon Rana on Curtis Axel, but Axel did get some hits in, a nice belly to belly in, smashing Adrian Neville's head to the floor. But once Adrian Neville hit this reverse Hurricane Rana, he headed up to the top rope and hit the Red Arrow for the victory on his first appearance on the main roster. Brand new WWE Champion Daniel Bryan was set to face Rusev in the next match, but Bray Wyatt attacked Rusev in the entrance and said, "No, I'm going to take you on," which Daniel Bryan was rather unprepared for. Thankfully, Daniel Bryan was still able to put up some sort of fight. Things were looking rather rosy for Daniel Bryan as he hit the flying headbutt off the top rope and DDT'd Bray onto the apron on the outside. But while on the outside, Bray Wyatt was able to hit Sister Abigail, then took him back into the ring and hit Sister Abigail in there too to take the victory. After the match, Bray Wyatt showed his dominance over Daniel Bryan and possibly signified his intention for a world title shot. Next up, Seth Rollins took on Ryback in a Falls Count Anywhere match, and Ryback decided this match was going to start anywhere. After brutalizing Seth Rollins with a chair, Ryback would hit the meat hook clothesline and then the shell shock to take the easy win. Maybe next time, he'll give Seth Rollins a chance to get to the ring first. We had this Universe Mode special submission match next as Sheamus was supposed to take on Dean Ambrose, but much like every match in the show, Brock Lesnar attacked Dean Ambrose on the ramp, and Sheamus then took control. Sheamus was hitting power move after power move, but it wasn't stopping Dean Ambrose. Ambrose hit a suplex and a Russian leg sweep, but then Sheamus hit his Celtic Cross powerbomb and slammed on a submission hold. Dean Ambrose wouldn't tap though, and managed to get back into the match, sticking on his own submission move. Sheamus wasn't tapping yet though, and went for a brogue kick, which he hit. But when he went for another move, Dean Ambrose reversed that into a neckbreaker and slammed on his submission again, and this time Sheamus was a tapping. So Dean Ambrose is victorious, but Brock Lesnar came out afterwards to point his finger at him and stuff. Also in Texas, we were in San Antonio for main event, and the World Tag Team Champions Sting and the Ultimate Warrior took on Kevin Nash and his latest tag team partner, Ric Flair. The match began even, with both teams hitting decent moves. It was the World Tag Team Champions that were the only ones hitting double team moves, such as this one here. Kevin Nash tried to keep his team in the match with a big boot and a reverse DDT, but it was no use, and the World Tag Champions, Sting and the Ultimate Warrior, did what they needed to get the victory. Slamming, splashing, hitting big double team moves, and then hitting the Scorpion Deathlock for the tap out win. Batista's been a bit bored recently after defeating Shawn Michaels in their feud that went on for years. He's got nothing to do, so he took on Santina Marella, and it didn't begin well. But then it got a lot better, as he hit this spear, then rolled and smashed his way through the Milan Miracle, finishing the match with an even bigger spear. 1, 2, 3. Batista wants stuff to do. Next up, Chris Jericho took on Shawn Michaels. In the next match in their feud, Shawn Michaels hit a flying fist, but then decided he didn't want a match and walked off and celebrated to the crowd instead. So Chris Jericho was victorious by countout. On the last main event, Stone Cold Steve Austin beat European Champion Booker T in a Falls Count Anywhere match. This time he was paired with Mr. Perfect as he tried to impress to get that European title shot. The match didn't quite go his way the entire time, but once he'd hit this bulldog and his signature elbow, it was just a Stone Cold Stunner left to hit. Boom! And he took the win with ease. And in main event, Triple H was taking on the Undertaker again, but the Undertaker was pissed this time, ran down the ring and started beating Triple H down. After a back body drop though, Triple H followed in the footsteps of his DX partner and walked out. Undertaker stopped him on the ramp though and hit a tombstone. After throwing Triple H back into the ring, the Undertaker took control, hit a chokeslam and then another tombstone, and the Undertaker was victorious this time. After the match, Triple H tried to attack the Undertaker, but the Undertaker saw it coming, beat him down and threw him out of the ring before continuing his celebration. Now the future was in Montreal, Canada again, as hometown boy Kevin Steen started NXT with a hardcore title match against Corey Graves. And as it's a hardcore title match, this match was a bit of a crazy one. Corey Graves started off taking it to the outside and hitting him with a sledgehammer before Kevin Steen grabbed a chair and got himself a hit back. Back in the ring, and both men were hitting big moves. Kevin Steen hitting that nice senton. Corey Graves hit a suplex, but then Kevin Steen put Graves through a table before hitting the package pile driver, and boom! It was victory and retaining the title for Kevin Steen. In the second match of the show, Adam Rose looked for his first win against Hideo Itami and didn't start well with that elbow to the face, but Adam Rose managed to get some control before Itami started hitting strikes, European uppercut from the second rope and the Roman Reigns dropkick. But Adam Rose hit his own strikes with these back heels, I guess you could call them, and then hit his finisher, and shockingly, Adam Rose got his first win and he celebrated like he meant it. Fandango was next. He took on Diamond Dallas Page. The match did begin well for Fandango, but once DDP clotheslined and powerbombed his way back into the match, it was all downhill. Fandango did have time to hit a spinning heel kick, but he didn't have time to move out of the way of the diamond cutter when DDP hit it, and that was enough for the victory for DDP. In NXT's penultimate match, Tyson Kidd took on William Regal in what promised to be an epic encounter, and Tyson Kidd almost knocked William Regal out with the first kick. But Regal did come back and both men started to hit some big moves. Regal looked like he had the match wrapped up after hitting an exploder suplex and a backbreaker, but Tyson Kidd hit his suplex neckbreaker mix thingy and then a blockbuster, and it was a victory for Tyson Kidd. Adrian Neville was impressed. Maybe he'll return for one last NXT appearance. Now, main event time, and Finn Balor teamed with Sami Zayn to take on Xavier Woods and R-Truth, but Xavier Woods and R-Truth was stopped on the ramp by Victor from the Ascension and Rusev, which was a bit weird. This didn't affect Balor and Zayn's performance though, as they were focused on the match, and it made it a bit easier in fact, and the two decimated Xavier Woods. R-Truth could only sit and watch as both men hit their finishing maneuvers, and the match ended like that. As always, we end the week with SmackDown, and we were in Phoenix, Arizona. Darren Young opened the show taking on Damien Sandow. The match began with both men trading drop kicks, but it continued with both men trading moves, big ones at that. Eventually Darren Young would hit his 3-hit combo signature with the leg drop, elbow drop and fist drop. However, following that, Damien Sandow was able to hit his spinny French fancy elbow drop. Then in a race to the finishing move, Darren Young hit his before Damien Sandow could hit his and won the match. Tag team action now as The Miz teamed with Alberto Del Rio to take on Dolph Ziggler and Justin Gabriel. Someone looks a bit out of place there. Anyway, the match started fast paced, Dolph Ziggler hitting the Fameasser before everyone else followed and hit some big moves of their own. The match was quite an open one, as you can see, and Dolph Ziggler and Justin Gabriel put in some double team work in too. Del Rio hit a back suplex, but when Miz got back in the ring, Justin Gabriel hit him with a massive neckbreaker to the knee. Dolph Ziggler hit his DDT and the zigzag to give Gabriel and Ziggler the victory. Possibly Gabriel's last appearance on the show. Mark Henry now took on Bad News Barrett. And Henry took the initial control like the big son of a bitch he is. But once Barrett hit this running neck breaker, he took it to the outside, threw Henry into the post, and then hit the winds of change onto the concrete outside. Back in the ring, a bull hammer was hit, and Barrett was victorious. Post-match, he beat him down a bit more, because he's a wanker. In the semi-final matchup, World Heavyweight Champion Big Show took on Titus O'Neil, and Kofi Kingston came down to have a watch from the commentary table. Big Show pretty much destroyed Titus O'Neil, because he's a jobber, slamming Titus O'Neil down with a gorilla press and a backbreaker. He then hit a final cut before going outside to say hello to Kofi. Kofi wasn't impressed and walked off. Before Big Show went back inside, and it was knockout punch time. Boom, 1, 2, 3, Big Show wins. SmackDown's main event was supposed to be Big E versus Cesaro, but Cesaro attacked Big E on the ramp and then threw him into the steps. In the ring, he kicked him in the face and suplexed him. But then Big E woke up. It was gorilla press, and then spinebuster, and then Cesaro took control again with this jumping European uppercut. A German suplex later, and Big E was down for the count. All Cesaro needed to do was hold him down for the 3 count, which he did. Afterwards, well, he beat him down, just because. A few questions from the week. What are Bray Wyatt's intentions against Daniel Bryan? Why did Brock Lesnar attack Dean Ambrose before his match? Why did Shawn Michaels think he was too tired to take on Chris Jericho? Was Bray Wyatt's attack on Rusev so bad that he had to run back to NXT? And does Kofi Kingston still think he can hang with the Big Show? Find out all this and more next time on What Happened on My Universe Mode. Like and subscribe.